Esteemed members of the exam commission, the Commission on Approval of Prime and Backup Crews. We have been working in Moscow, but at Baikonur, the vehicle preparation and the launch vehicle preparations were in progress, and the members of the State Exam Board were working here, and we've celebrated our anniversaries. The first Deputy of Chief Designer, Sergei Yuryevich Romanov, turned 60 years old. Thank you. But this is not all. Yet another member of the State Exam Board, Deputy of Cosmonaut Training Center, Maxim Kharlamov, had his 50th anniversary yesterday, and allow me to congratulate him. And well, now we're going to turn to the meeting. By proposal of RC Energia and approved by the General Board of Designers, the State Commission has made the decision to launch on July 28th, to launch Soyuz MS-05 with crew members to the ISS. And integrated testing of the launch vehicle at launch site have been conducted. All activities have been completed. And then the agenda. The report of Yuri Valentinovich Lonchikov on the readiness of crew members and on his proposal about crew members, prime and backup crew members, will take place now. Please go ahead. Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone and the members of the Commission, the prime crew members, the commander, Ryazansky Sergei Nikolaevich, a flight engineer of increments 52-53, Breznik Randolph, a flight engineer of Soyuz and increment 52, commander of increment 53, Paolo Nespoli, flight engineer of Soyuz and of increments 52-53, Alexander Misurkin, Soyuz commander and flight engineer of the ISS, Mark Van de Hai, flight engineer of Soyuz and ISS, and Norigishi Kanei, flight engineer of Soyuz and the ISS. All the crew members have completed their integrated and evaluation simulations, and all crew members are fit for space flight. And the State Exam Board session has taken place at GCTC. We have reviewed all the results of the retraining program, and we have decided that crew members of increments 52 and 53 of long-duration mission are ready for space flight, and the pre-launch program is 100% completed. And based on the results, we suggest that all crew members be approved. Prime crew, commander Ryazansky Sergei Nikolaevich, Randolph Breznik, flight engineer, and Paolo Nespoli, flight engineer. And then the backup crew, commander Misurkin Alexander, flight engineer Mark Van de Hai, and flight engineer Norigishi Kanei. Thank you. And then Sergei Yuryevich Romanov will make his presentation regarding the readiness of the space vehicle and the readiness for launch. Good afternoon. The activities of the first pre-launch day have been conducted at Baikonur. There are no comments. And the Soyuz MS-05 spacecraft vehicle is ready for space flight. I'm ready to take questions now. The decision of the State Commission on testing at the launch complex, having listened to the proposals on the prime crew and backup crew, and also technical reports on the launch complex readiness, the State Exam Board has decided that prime crew members be approved, and the following crew members were approved: the Commander Sergei Ryazanskiy, Flight Engineer Randall Bresnik, and Paolo Nespoli, Flight Engineer. And then backup crew: Misurkin Alexander, Roscosmos Flight Engineer Mark Vandehei of NASA, and Flight Engineer 2, Kanai Narishigi of JAXA. And then my second statement is that the preparation of the launch complex will continue. And this decision of the State Exam Board has been approved. Yuri Anatolyevich Komarov will take over now. Dear colleagues, this is a very important event. The State Board has approved prime and backup crews. Of course, I'd like to congratulate both crews, Ryazanskiy Sergei Nikolaevich, and then Bresnik Randolph, and Paolo Nespoli, and Alexander Misurkin, Mark Vandehei, and Kanai Narishigi. You have been through a very challenging and lengthy trainings and preparations. You have fulfilled all the requirements of the programs. You have successfully completed and passed all exams and tests, and the State Commission has approved today and has you for flight, and has approved your mission that will start in a day from now. Basically, I'd like to thank you for your work and to thank everyone who took part in this work. I'd like to congratulate everyone on successful work, and I'd like to wish you further success, and thank you. And Kirk Sharman, head of the ISS program of NASA, will take over now.
Backup crew in completing all your training, and especially I'd like to congratulate you for your adaptability to the changes that have occurred during your training. Alexander, Mark, and Kanai-san, congratulations on the backup flow. Your time to fly in space will come very, very shortly. So congratulations, and we'll look forward to your time very shortly. And Randy, Sergey, and Paolo, you're all experienced flyers, and we look forward to you being in space very shortly. While you're in space, you with your other crewmates will conduct 4 spacewalks. You'll have another Soyuz visit, 1 Progress, 2 Dragons, and 1 Cygnus visit while you're there. The collective crew will participate in 330 different investigations, 85 of which have never occurred on space station before. In addition, you'll be in space and witness something very, very few people have ever witnessed. You'll witness a solar eclipse from the vantage point of space and actually be able to see the shadow of the moon cast on the Earth. So we wish you a very successful mission. Know that all the people in this room and the people back at your various agencies are behind you and working very hard to make you successful. All the best.
Всего самого наилучшего.
All the best. The Director of Technology and Engineering of ESA, Frank Angara, will take the floor now.
Good afternoon to you all, and I'd like to join my colleagues who preceded me in congratulating the crew, the prime crew and the backup crew, for the hard work which led to this successful decision by the State Commission. I would like to thank all of the people who've worked with you in order to make this ready and to come to this moment, and most of all to make your mission as good. From a NISA standpoint, I'd like to also extend our thanks to ASI, who has been a very important partner, and of course is in the frame of the partnership between ASI and NASA that we get this flight opportunity for one of our astronauts. And I think this is going to be a very important mission as underlined for the science, the technology, and the work that you will be performing on the space station itself, and this is very important for all of us. I'd like to confirm as well that all of ESA and ASI are standing behind you on this mission. And let me conclude by wishing you buona fortuna in Italian, in bocca al lupo. I'm sure this will be a great mission. Thank you very much.
The Director General of RSC Energia, Vladimir Lvovich Solntsev, will take the floor. Dear Prime and backup crew, I'd like to congratulate you on successful completion of a very challenging stage of training, and hopefully backup crew will also fly shortly in a few months from now. And I'd like to assure you that the preparation of the launch vehicle and the launch site is in progress, and it is on schedule. And we're confident that your flight will be successful. And of course, I'd like to wish you a very successful launch, and good luck with your activities aboard the ISS, and good luck in completion of your challenging assignments on the ISS, and of course a soft landing. Fedor Yulchikhin is telling me that everything is in order on the station, and make sure that you keep it that way. Good luck, and we'll be waiting for you to return. The Deputy of the Federal Medical and Biological Agency will take the floor now. Well, dear members of the prime crew and backup crew, of course, I would like to pass greetings from all the medical personnel who took part in your training, in your preparation, and of course you're fit for flight. Your health will allow you to fulfill all objectives, and Serozha, of course, you're special for us. If you don't know, his grandfather was chief designer under Sergei Pavlovich Korolev, and so he graduated from Moscow State University from the Faculty of Medicine. This is his second flight, and we hope that Sergei, after your second flight, you will start working in the field of science and directly. We just heard that there will be 8 experiments on the ISS, and of course you're the one to continue this work here. Paolo, you're a veteran here at Baikonur. We remember you, we know you well. We know Yuri Valentinovich has mentioned that your professional knowledge is excellent. The same goes for Randolph, and I'd like to wish you all the best. And then my words of consolation for the backup crew. Your mission right now is very important, is to ensure psychological stability, so to speak, for the prime crew. So once again, I would like to wish you good luck. You'll be successful in all of your endeavors. Soyuz MS-05 spacecraft commander will take the floor now. Sergei Ryazansky. Dear friends and dear members of the board, first of all, I would like to thank you from all my heart, and I would like to thank all the specialists who have been working with us, who made sure that we're healthy, all the specialists who share their knowledge, their skills, specialists from the Gagarin Training Center, specialists from RSC Energia, and specialists working here at Baikonur. Of course, this flight will be very exciting. We'll have a busy, challenging schedule, and of course, we are optimistic about upcoming flight, and we are ready for space flight. Flight engineer of Soyuz MS-05, Randolph Bresnik. Well, of course, only thanks to our joint work and the professionalism, we are ready. And let's go. Flight engineer 2, Paolo Nespoli, esteemed members of the State Exam Board, I only have 2 words for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Roscosmos and Energia, MCC Moscow, Italian Space Agency, and European Space Agency, as well as NASA, and all specialists who have been working for our benefit. Thank you, and as Randy has said, let's go, finally. Alexander Misurkin, commander of backup crew. Good afternoon, dear members of the Commission and dear friends. Well, the psychological, political atmosphere is excellent, and also the backup crew members are ready for flight. Mark Van de Heij, flight engineer of backup crew. Dear members of the Commission, dear friends, thank you for your work. Thank you for helping us train. Just thank you. Flight engineer 2, Norishige Kunai. Good afternoon. I would also like to thank everyone for their help. And it is my pleasure to be working with such astronauts and cosmonauts. This is excellent experience for me. Thank you. Sergey, Paolo, Randolph, I would like to congratulate you on behalf of State Exam Board. You are assigned as prime crew of Soyuz MS-05. We would like to wish you a successful launch, successful mission, and we're waiting for you here on Earth. And this completes the session of State Exam Board. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear colleagues and friends. The meeting of State Exam Board has just ended, and the prime and backup crews have been approved for flight. Crews of increments 52-53, and the launch of Soyuz-05 spacecraft is scheduled on July 28th.
Good evening, dear colleagues. The state
at 21:41 local time.
Approved the crew members of the 52nd, 53rd long-duration mission to the ISS. Launch of Soyuz MS-05 manned transport vehicle is scheduled on July 28, 2017 at 21:41 local time.
And allow me to introduce the members of the prime crew. Commander of Soyuz MS-05 spacecraft, and commander and flight engineer of increments 52-53, Sergei Ryazanskiy, Roscosmos, Russia.
The ISS 52-53, Sergei Ryazanskiy, Roscosmos, Russia.
Flight engineer 1 of Soyuz and flight engineer of increment 52, commander of increment 53, Randolph Bresnik of NASA, USA.
Flight engineer of the International Space Station 52, commander of the ISS 53, Randolph Bresnik, NASA, USA.
And flight engineer 2 of Soyuz and flight engineer of increments 52-53 to the ISS, Paolo Nespoli of ESA, Italy.
ISS 52-53, Paolo Nespoli, ESA, Italy.
Backup crew, Soyuz commander and flight engineer of the ISS, Alexander Misurkin, Roscosmos, Russia.
Engineer of the ISS, Alexander Misurkin, Roscosmos, Russia.
Flight engineer of Soyuz and flight engineer of the ISS, Mark Van de Heij of NASA, USA.
ISS flight engineer Mark Van de Heij, NASA, USA.
Борт-инженер 2.
Flight Engineer 2 of Soyuz and Flight Engineer of the ISS, Norishige Kanai of JAXA, Japan.
Flight Engineer of the ISS, Norishige Kanai, JAXA, Japan.
Уважаемые друзья, начинаем.
Dear friends, we're ready to start our conference. Please introduce yourselves and state where you're from, what agency you represent.
Nikolai Vdovin.
Nikolai Vdovin, Roscosmos TV studio. So this time there are a lot of tourists at Baikonur. I think we've had a record this year. So with that, does mass tourism to Baikonur help cosmonauts to prepare? And do you think this should be promoted? Well, I think that this is necessary, and I'm happy that this time about 90 children are here, and I think that in order to promote spaceflight, it is necessary that students, high-class students, can make it here to Baikonur. I have discussed it with head of Russian Space Agency, and he fully supports these activities, and I think it will be widely available in the future. Question to Paolo Nespoli. Italy is a country of great works of art, so artists from Australia are here at Baikonur who support you, are here, and there's an interesting project, Space Free. Could you please share your thoughts about it?
Space 3, it's a project, joint project between the Italian Space Agency and the European Space Agency and the famous Italian artist Michelangelo Pistoletto. He designed a symbol, which is the one that I have on my right hand here, which represents the third paradise. The third paradise is a protected area where things can happen because it's protected, it's a haven. And in this paradise, there are two extremes which actually work together to protect the center. And what we put in the two extremes is science in one side and education in the other side, and in the middle, they put the Earth. So in this project, I will take pictures on space through an application on the smartphone. People will be able to take pictures and join them, and they will produce a gigantic mosaic that should focus the attention on education, Earth, and also our understanding of space and life.
Rob Navius with NASA Television. Two questions for Randy Bresnik. Randy, first of all, you guys are an experienced crew, but you're launching into a very daunting time frame of operational and scientific research activities. What do you intend to do to try to mitigate that, and what is the importance of the extra crew member for the U.S. segment that will help you face those challenges?
We're launching into a crew that's been up there by themselves for 57 days. Fyodor Yurchikhin, Peggy Whitson, and Jack Fisher. Okay. They've got their groove on. They are working very, very well. They have a very good technique and tempo that they are operating under. And we're going to go up there and join them. And we're there to add to what they're doing, not change anything that they're doing. And so we've got a time where we're going to jump in and join the team. Then, okay, all right. Then once they leave, the beginning of September, we'll be joined by two of these three. Nima will have to wait for December. But Joe Akaba is going to join them. And we've had the opportunity to get together and train these last few months. And the big thing is that we're going to have, like with Peggy and Two Fish, we're going to have 4 USOS crew members. And with over 330 possible experiments, of which 85 are new to the space station right now, there is a ton of science for us to do. And with that extra crew member, we're going to have a lot more opportunity to not only do the science, but we're also going to have an opportunity to do repairs on the station. We've got EVAs that are planned. And so we think the productivity of this huge laboratory up in space that's there for humankind will really go up quite a bit, having the 4 crew members.
And Randy, October 4th marks the 60th anniversary of the launch of Sputnik that inaugurated the era of spaceflight. That launch occurred from the same launch pad that you guys will be rocketing away from on Friday night. Your thoughts on how that launch changed the world and how far we've come in 60 years?
So 60 years ago, human beings looked up to the sky, and beyond the realm of balloons and airplanes, now we had satellites. And shortly after that, we had the first launch of the first human being off the same launch pad we're launching off of as well. And now we had the first human being up there. And since then, look at what human beings have done, and we put human beings, on the surface of the moon as well. The entirety of what we've accomplished as human beings in just those short 60 years is amazing. And we look at this national laboratory and the size of scope of the International Space Station, something that in the future I think historians will look at as the greatest technological achievement in the history of humankind to this point. And the fact that we did it together in an international team is what makes the difference. If we could use the International Space Station and the cooperation between all the different countries and agencies and teams as an example for the way to operate around the world, then maybe the world would be a better place. And so we hope to be on station to show people what we can do and show also the beauty of the planet that it is that we live on that we need to go ahead and preserve.
Dominique Dotin, ISA TV. A question for Paolo. In fact, we are so impressed about this 60 years of Sputnik that I wanted to have your opinion on that one, and especially since you're also turning 60.
Well, Dominique, the year 1957 was a very important year, as you know. He also was born in 57, so. But it was a moment after World War II when there was a lot of fight in the world where people started looking outside and putting together technology, science, and try to expand the capabilities of human beings. And space seemed to be close enough that we could try. As Randy said, in these 60 years, we have accomplished a lot of things. We have sent satellite, expanded satellite. Today, without satellites, it would be very difficult to do what we do. And then, of course, we started the exploration with robots in space and astronauts, and pretty much soon we will have tourists in space, and also we will look at other planets like going back to the moon or Mars.
Anna Samoilenko, Space Center Yuzhny, TV studio. Question for Sergei Ryazanskiy. Sergei, you have mentioned that school students are here at Baikonur, but not everyone here knows that several hours ago, about 100 children from schools from all over Russia were here, and you were answering their questions. Why did you decide to become chairman of this association of school students of Russia? And you did find time to talk to them even during your pre-lunch training, despite the busy schedule. Well, thank you very much. Frankly speaking, that part of a cosmonaut's job, and he could be any country. So part of this job is to share our experience of spaceflight with children. We meet with them, we talk about spaceflight, about our training, etc. And when you meet with the children and you ask them, what guys do you want to do in life and what are your goals? And it is sad when they tell you that they don't know. And we live in a world where information is widely available. And I think that children are supposed to receive the information that's interesting for them very easily. However, it turns out that it is hard for them to pick out what they want. Sometimes they just can't do it. Sometimes parents should help, etc. So with this, first of all, we would like to make the lives of children more interesting. We must participate in volunteering projects, in projects related to ecology. And we would like to explain it to them that this is great to take care of your country, of your planet, of your neighbors. And currently, we're actively promoting the personal development area. So this is promotion of science, then and engineering, and helping kids to figure out what they want in terms of profession. And of course, sometimes parents help their children and they're able to do it perfectly fine. But sometimes children from small towns, from the countryside, finally they have a chance to travel here to Baikonur. And this summer we have had various volunteers working here non-stop, and the children that are successful in various disciplines come here. And for example, young ecologists were just here, and actually my schoolmates from the biological department of the Moscow State University were here to help teaching. They were teaching children. Then in the fall, we're going to have the spaceflight session, so to speak. It will take place in various camps all over the country. So overall, I think that this direction is great, and I hope that we will be successful. And I'm glad that we were able to invite all children here, and the children who are here, they are winners of various competitions, and they represent different regions of our country, which is wonderful. Thank you. Anna Kurbatova, Channel 1. A question for Sergei Ryazanskiy. There will be two parts of the questions. First part is regarding experiments that you're going to conduct on the station. In my brochure, it states that you're going to have 50 experience, but your colleague has just mentioned that there will be 335 experience and 85 of them are unique. So which experiments are unique and why? Well, it is always challenging to answer such questions. For some reason, journalists think that crew members are supposed to have their favorite experiment. But my favorite experiment is spaceflight, because the station itself is a huge experiment. It has been in space for more than 15 years. And then the science program that you have featured in your brochure, that's only for our Russian increment, part of the increment only. So we do have about 30 experiments. Some of them are joined with our colleagues from other countries. So in about 2 days after we arrive, we're going to start SARCO lab experiments. Russia and ESA participate in this experiment, and hardware for the experiment is as large as this room. So basically, it will take the entire European module, almost. So this is a very interesting, comprehensive experiment, and personally for me it is interesting because it is on the same subject of my dissertation, the dissertation that I defended years ago. So this experiment studies muscles and tendons. Unfortunately, on the Russian segment, there are only 2 crew members. Thus, we're going to have a very busy schedule. Some experiments will be done in cosmonauts' personal time, because we just can't schedule them to different times. So at night on the ISS, we'll be doing science. Last time, your colleagues were trying to make kefir on station. Were they successful? Well, we're going to see it when we get there. And my last question. Today, you're going to watch Salyut-Sam and the White Sun of the Desert. And this is not the first time that you're going to be watching this. So what are your feelings about it? How many times have you seen these movies? Alexander, do you know? Can you count? Well, this movie is great. And I think we've seen it more than 10 times. And there are a lot of jokes about this movie. So the joke about the white sun of the desert, cosmonauts were testing their knowledge of this movie. For example, what was the name of Sukhov's cat? So who can answer this question? I see one hand. Do you remember the cat in the movie? Well, there was no cat in the movie, but we do know its name. So we do know the name of this Sukhov's cat. Then Salyut-7 movie. We're going to meet with the filming crew, we're going to only see parts of this movie, and then we will see the entire movie on board the station. As far as the White Sun of the Desert is a wonderful movie, and we will be watching it with pleasure. And thank you. Alexei Kozlak, TASS Information Agency. So, Alexander, you have mentioned, Sergey, you've mentioned that you are going to have two mascots or two zero-G indicators, and the second one was supposed to be made by Energia. So is it going to fly with you or not? Well, you know, we are in the following situation. It has been a very dynamic process. Actually, we are going to have 3 zero-G indicators, and there is no Sputnik among them. My personal mascot is a gnome. My family chose it. So it is a small handmade gnome. This is our main mascot, and my colleagues also have chosen their mascots given to them by their children. Among them will be a small bear that has the colors of the US flag. And then for Paolo, it will be a small Italian transformer. And then Alexander will launch closer to the celebration. So hopefully that he will have this, the first satellite talisman with him. And you will ask him that question when he will be here in a few months. RIA Novosti Agency, a question for Sergey. I apologize, I cannot hear you well. Denis Kayranov from RIA Novosti. Sergey Nikolaevich, you mentioned that in mid-August you are going to have a spacewalk. So could you please clarify what the dates are and what is the duration of this spacewalk? And thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we do plan to have an EVA. This will be the only Russian EVA, while our US colleagues are going to have 3 spacewalks. We're going to do it together with Fedor Nikolaevich Yurchikhin on 17th of August. And the program for this EVA is mostly science as opposed to maintenance. We're going to launch research satellites. Some of these satellites have been assembled by students. We're going to install certain science hardware, and we're going to test the external parts of the station for microbiological contamination. Fedor Nikolaevich also will be the first one to be wearing the new space suit. This is the new Orlan with the automated firmware regulation system, and Fedor Nikolaevich, as an experienced cosmonaut, will be able to test and will be able to compare it to the previous version of the space suit, which is also available and can be used.
We know how busy you're going to be with all your experiments you need to conduct during this mission, and some experiments sound a little bit more strange than others. One being the sensitivity to pain in zero gravity. Perhaps you could help explain what this involves, and can we assume that you're not looking forward to this experiment?
My colleagues are joking that there are pain experiments starting from entering Soyuz. Because they're tall guys and sitting in Soyuz chair for at least 8 hours. It's not a really pleasant thing. But really, yes, we have such experiment. By the way, it's from Russian science program. It's well known that in our body, in weightlessness, we have blood redistribution. And this redistribution influence pharmacokinetics and many other physiological processes. And also, it changes the level barrier, pain level barrier, threshold. So finally, equipment for this experiment is now on board. So we will try to find how this threshold changes compared with the ground. Looking forward.
Could you be a little bit more specific? I mean, what kind of, how would you create this pain? Does it involve some kind of instruments or?
Yeah, it's, it doesn't, I'm lucky, it doesn't need help from another crew members, or they would help. There's a special device where you place your finger and it starts squeezing it. You can stop it immediately at any second. Just from the first signs of pain, you're stopping it. Also, it's small tablets, heating tablet, and you have your arm on this tablet and it's warming up. Same thing, you feel pain, just remove your hand.
Sounds like
Simple.
lots of fun. And this question's for all three crew members, please. We know how curious everybody is about space, and you get asked questions all the time, probably about the smaller things of being in space, such as how do you shower, how do you brush your teeth, how do you, what does space smell like, for instance. What is the most common question that you get asked for all three of you, and does it get a bit annoying?
I think there are two categories of questions. The ones that everybody would ask without problems, like, what do you see from the space? How do you feel in 0G? If you've seen aliens. And then the ones that are a little bit more subtle or a little bit private, like, how do you go to the bathroom in space? So I always say that there are not stupid answers, but, stupid questions. And the challenge from us is to turn around the question and make it interesting. And also going to the bathroom can be very interesting. And we can talk about science, we can talk about recycling, we can talk about a lot of things that are actually part of the core of the essence of the space station.
I think one of the more prominent questions that you always seem to get is, now that you've been to space and seen the Earth from that point of view, has it changed you? You know, the first time you get to see it, and then we're excited for Mark to see that in the middle of September, the first time you see the Earth, where you can see the whole curve of it, because your whole life the horizon's been flat. And so if I drew a curve from here to here, which is what you see of the Earth when you're in orbit, your eyes automatically and your brain already figures out this curve means a circle only this big. And you extrapolate in your mind how big that thing is. And you go around that circle every 90 minutes, and you realize that every experience you've ever had, every person you've ever met, every person who's ever lived is down on that little circle that you're going around every 90 minutes. And at that point, you cease being a person of your country or your space agency. You are truly a member of the human race, and you see our planet, our home, you know, planet spaceship Earth, you know, as our home. And I think everyone that sees that is changed by it. The hope is that in our lifetimes, we'll be able to get more people there to see that. More people are changed, then maybe we'll be able to change people down here on Earth.
My question is for all of you three. Mauricio Ampuero, Rusia RT en español. All of you have already been into International Space Station, and you all have a lot of experience. Which things you will never do again in space?
First time I really receive a hard question. I really miss everything we were doing there, and it's just interesting to live. Paolo has some ideas, so maybe.
Well, it was such an incredible experience at the beginning of my last mission, the first weeks, that I ended up not going to bed when I was supposed to. I ended up spending too much time doing things, calling people, watching the Earth, experimenting with things. And for a good 10 days, I slept like 3 hours per day. And this is far too little for me. And I recognize it when I start making mistakes during the experiments during the day, when I start falling asleep during the experiments. And I understood that, you know, I need to slow down, take my time, rest, be as best as I can, because I can actually produce or get more of what was the environment up there. So out of the Earth, I felt like an extraterrestrial person, but I did have to remember that after all, I am still a terrestrial one and I need to sleep.
There's definitely one thing that I plan not to do this time. 7.5 years ago, on a short space shuttle flight on Atlantis, my amazing wife Rebecca gave birth to this beautiful little girl over here who's asleep on her arm. And so this time we plan on not having another baby.
Елизавета Ustinova.
Елизавета Ustinova.
And it's a question for all of you. What do you think the space smells like?
Честно, самого
Well, frankly, I was very interested in this question because you cannot open windows on station. It's a problem. However, you can deal with this. During my previous flight, I had 3 spacewalks, and when you are getting out of the small module, it is still remains in vacuum anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. And when we pressurize it back, when we come back, it is not a 100% pressurization. It's only 50 millimeters of mercury. So then my task, and I'm a small guy, I was supposed to get out of my spacesuit and help my commander get out of his spacesuit, and he's a bigger guy. And there I had this very unique opportunity to check what space smells like. It smells like welding. This is a very ozone, metallic, very distinctive smell. So this is what it smells like. Thank you very much.
And on the American segment, the same thing. After an EVA, when they open the hatch and we repressurize, there's a very strong smell. And I smelled it, and it was immediate. I knew what it was, and I asked another crew member before I said anything to see what they said. And Nicole Stott said the exact same thing, what space smelled like on the American segment, or the USOS segment. It smells like cream of mushroom soup.
Sergey, I have one more question for you and to the rest of the crew members. Well, I think this is not the first time, but at Baikonur currently it is very hot. So how have you been dealing with the heat during your preparations? Of course, I know that nothing will happen to the launch vehicle. However, do you have any type of AC system in Soyuz? Thank you. Well, yes, we are going to have ventilation, and you shouldn't ask Randy. Randy comes from Texas. It's always hot there, and then the same for Paolo. I think Paolo is used to heat. He's from Italy, but he also lives in Houston. Well, let's ask backup crew members, because I think they're bored there. They need to answer some questions, right? Good afternoon, friends. Sergey, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Despite the fact that the prime crew are used to heat, and I'd like to say that on behalf of the backup crew, we painted the launch vehicle and the spacecraft white, and I think that they will have a comfortable flight, and we will be just happy for you, and I'm sure they'll be successful, and we'll be looking forward to their successes on station. Thank you very much, and dear friends, I would like to give the opportunity to the representative of the European Space Agency to talk to Paolo in Italian, and Paolo will share what they have discussed.
Who flew in space on a very interesting mission. It was a joint Italian-American project on the space shuttle. It was called the Tethered Satellite System, a system that was studied by the University of Padua, where a satellite was deployed by the shuttle in a very strange and complicated configuration. It was a very challenging mission, and Italy provided the first astronaut. This opened even more the cooperation between the United States, NASA, the Italian Space Agency, the European Space Agency for space. And there was a question about what is written in my DNA. And I don't know, I'm an aerospace engineer, so I'm not quite sure exactly what is written there. but I'm pretty sure that it's written, the same thing is written in everybody, which is we are curious, we are explorers, we are not satisfied until we do things, we touch with our hands, we expand our knowledge, and this is what we are doing tomorrow for essentially expanding our knowledge, but for making also the world better for all of us.
Thank you. And dear colleagues, this completes our press conference. Thank you very much for interesting questions, and I would like to thank all crew members for their answers. Thank you. And now let's take pictures of prime crews and backup crews separately. Thank you. And dear guests, I'm expecting all of you here at Saturn movie theater. There will be a presentation of Salyut 7 movie, and I'd like to thank everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. Sto lì. Grazie.
Inaudible.